people. I hope you haven't missed me much. If you haven't missed me at all, maybe I should have wished for another thing. Anyway, if you've seen previous episodes of mine, you know that the video image might have changed a little. That is because I kind of killed my phone with which I was filming these videos, rest in peace, and almost killed this GoPro. Thank God it's working. Just wanted to let you know that is not the only reason why I'm crunching 4 tapes at once, but you will know why now. So let's just start. Let's start with day 18, which was called Ending Financial Self-Sabotage. Now, it was a very great topic, obviously intense as always with all these exercises, but the reason why I won't talk much about it is because in the previous episode we did talk a lot about financial topics, and I didn't want to get repetitive in terms of theory, in terms of practical things. Of course, he gave you all these new tools and exercises as always. He also gave you this assignment that for the next 10 days, every day write down 3 ideas for increasing your income or ways in which you could earn more from the income you already have. By doing this, he wants to kind of train your mind to be more elastic and go past the limitations financially and just look more for the opportunities. I think it will give me great value, so I will keep on doing that. And then also for day 19 and 20, I couldn't tell you much because it was the subliminal days. If you don't know what subliminal tapes are, you can check this episode and you'll understand why. Let's just go straight to day 21 because I guess that's the most important out of this video. It was called Overcoming the Fear of Success or Failure and also the Fear of Rejection. Now, there was so much happening in here that is impossible for me at this stage to summarize this perfectly for you, but as always the point is that I give you my take on it and my opinion and on what happened. And basically what I can tell you is that I think we're in the stage of the challenge that we've just learned so much, like new behaviors or ways to think in our brain. We're just starting to adopt them and new tools, whatever, and he just using all of those that we've learned in 20 days for this new assignment that he gives. And to be honest, it gets sometimes overwhelming because it's still, even though it's been 20 days, it's still new stuff for your brain to process, and when you add on it another assignment, it gets sometimes a bit overwhelming. But at the end of the day, I think it's just really fun to see how much stuff you could learn in such a short amount of time, and better off even use them. So it's great. Now, fear itself is a huge and important topic that I could talk all night about, but I liked something that a person had said about fear. Letter for letter would mean false evidence that appears real. I find that a very cool metaphor, and honestly, I really believe that sometimes we're like that, and we create all this stuff in our brain and we forget that we are able to control them, even though they seem somewhere of our biggest fears. And what he wants you to do to remove these fears, for example, fear of failure, he first wants you to decide that you want to get rid of that fear, then get leverage, then interrupt your pattern, and while you use this, what he calls it, erasing technique, this is kind of what he teaches you through. First, he gets you in this, he guides you through the whole process, and he gets you in this positive state, very good positive state, and creates some positive anchors as well while you're there. And once you're there, he wants you to picture a big failure from your past, and he wants you to watch it happen as if it was a movie screen. Then with a smile in your face and with that same state, he wants you to run the entire memory in reverse at high speed. And then he goes back and forth and repeat it until you are now at this point where whenever you think about this painful memory, you have actually a smile on your face. I think it was an interesting exercise, and obviously it just makes you associate less pain and feel less serious about this memory, whatever that you had about failure. And once you're there, he makes you first aware of, for example, in this case, failure. What were your rules in order to feel like failure, right? For example, I don't know. For me, I don't know, to let myself down, not use my full potential, blah, blah, hurt people intentionally, stuff like that, right? And then what he asks you to do, once you have associated this pain and you're in this good state, he wants you to change, and this is the most important part, design new rules for you, basically to make it, and that's the key that he mentions, make it harder for yourself to feel failure and easier to feel successful, right? I honestly, I redesigned and I made just like 2 rules max for each of those, because sometimes really we have all these like contradictory rules, and you know, sometimes the most successful people in the world feel like failures just because they have so many rules in order to feel successful, right? And then on the opposite side, there are some people that supposedly would, you know, seem like they have nothing in life, and they're some of the happiest. That's because their rule for feeling successful is just for being alive and, you know, whatever, walking or something. So I think this is a great way. It was a very complex exercise and I will do it. I learned a lot, and I think I'm gonna do it again until I get these rules, you know, very injected in my brain, and I think they will better off my life. This was for this episode, guys. I thought it was very valuable, all of these sessions. As always, I hope you get something from it, or maybe that you're starting to get convinced to do this as well, and you're seeing, you know, that maybe it might be valuable for you. As far as now, I do recommend it. I think it's bringing great awareness and progress in my life, but we'll wait for a few days and I'll give you my final recommendation. Till then, I love you, stay awesome. Bye-bye. But even though my face might show you the leader, my energy is still on point and I'm ready for this episode, so let's go. This tape is called Conditioning Yourself to Wealth. It basically talks about 7 reasons why most people don't make it financially.